Welcome back to the VR Chronicles. Today's show is called Being a Girl Dad Changed My Life, which it did for me. Changed my life dramatically. Definitely, before we get started, if you can go to our YouTube channel, the VR Chronicles, just go ahead and press that subscribe, like, and share button. Uh, Also, you can find us on Apple and Spotify. Press follow on those. You're never gonna miss an episode. You always find me there. So today's episode 3, being a girl dad changed my life. So I'm just gonna jump right into it. So if you're a father, you definitely can relate to me in this area. Um, it is life transforming. So a little background. In the previous episode, I told you guys I served in the military for 15 years of my life, the active duty, full time, and so I had in my first marriage, we had boys only, and so it's so different raising boys compared to girls, and I was a lot more very rigid, more tougher with the boys. Definitely always had that balance of wanting to have fun, but I was very different with the boys. And so years later, that marriage ended. And a few years later after that, I got married to my wife now, right? And so we've been married since 2021. And, time fast forward a bit, we figure out all of a sudden she surprises me that she's pregnant. It was not a surprise because my wonderful wife and I definitely wanted to have a child, to unite our family. And so we were hoping for a girl, and God blessed us with a girl. And so, as you can imagine, coming from raising sons, as a dad, you want to raise a son to be he's one number one, he's gonna be a future leader in whatever capacity that looks like, whether in school, sports, a workplace environment. One day when my sons grow up, they're gonna have families, God willing, if that's their path. And I'm training men to be men in a productive society, and it's totally different with girls. And so my daughter changed my life significantly. But before she was born, my wife, she had a dramatic change on my life, significantly, because I was really like hard, rough, and tough a bit. I mean, even today, I mean, she'll say, "Oh, you're being very emotionless." But I can imagine at that time I was way more emotionless, just because it was not my character to be um that kind of way, right? And but being with her, I began to and listen, guys, I'm not a softie, but I'm gonna be getting a little vulnerable with you guys. I learned it was okay to be a little bit vulnerable, not over the top where I'm losing like masculinity and losing my position as like the leader of the house or anything like that or any direction, but more like she gave me the okay. Hey, you're safe with me. I know that you had a previous marriage, but you're safe with me. You can essentially you can be yourself if you can be vulnerable around me. So that's exactly what I did. Little by little, I began to become more vulnerable around my wife. And man, next thing you know it, I was just doing things I would have never done in ever in my life, honestly. But I would say that God always puts you with the one you are destined with, right? If and the way we went about this marriage was we both had a first marriage. And we're like, hey, if we're gonna do this right, we're later in our life. Mistakes can cost us. We got to count the costs. We got to make sure we're right for each other, right? We can have the physical attraction, but it has to be deeper than that. And so, thankfully, so we went through premarital counseling and we survived that. They addressed all these things that we didn't know we had to address, right? Blended family issues, parenting styles, a host of things, right? Different personality stuff. But we realized we survived that, and we realized, wow, we actually are more. We became more, obviously, more in love with each other. Our bond became stronger, and yeah, I would say that that was, God gave me the one that was for me. I always wish that it happened earlier in my life, but I always say, God doesn't make any mistakes. We're the ones who make the mistakes. We're the knuckleheads, right? When we kind of veer off and do things out of passions and not thinking with your mind. You have to think with your mind to be and make decisions. But man, long story short, my wife, her name is Janet. She changed my life for the positive. I would say I'm a lot more tender today these days. I'm a lot more emotional when it's the right time to be emotional. It's okay. There's certain times to be emotional. There's certain times as a man you gotta be a man, and is that's it, because that's how you lead your family. But now the double whammy. So when I got married, right, to my wife in 2021, when I saw her coming down the aisle, I had my sons on a cross, kind of like my best man kind of thing, and it was pretty cool. And when I saw her, I had to hold in the tears because I felt it. I felt it because I guess like wow, that was like it was a priceless moment. It was She looked at timeless, beautiful. It was a moment I'll definitely never forget. As I'm speaking, I can remember the moment right now as she was coming down the aisle. It was a beautiful wedding, beautiful moment. But when we found out that we were gonna have a girl, she was in disbelief. Me, I always had the feeling that I was gonna have a girl, and I'm glad it happened with my wife, right? And so now we're going into what it like. My daughter, her name's Aria. Um, Man, I remember the day she was born. So during my wife's pregnancy, I played a guitar for fun, right? And so at night I would be playing the guitar, and uh, my wife would be singing, and I would talk to my daughter while she was in my wife's belly. Very tender moments, right? And so I fast forward, right? The day of delivery, she is being born. Um, it was quite an experience, but what it was a moment I never took away. It was like a miracle moment for me. So my daughter came out, right? I was just like in shock. And if you're a dude, you're like, what just happened? Every guy said, what just happened right now? I can't believe you just came out of my wife. And then you have those thoughts as a man, but it erased when they put my daughter in the kind of like where they put the newborn at to check her and do all the make sure clear out the nostrils and everything to make her cry. When they did that so she can cry, her lungs can get out there. She was crying, and all of a sudden, it was like when I went close by the nurses, and I looked at her, and as I started to speak to her, she stopped crying, and then she turned her head as I was speaking in the direction, and she opened her eyes and looked at me as I was talking to her. It's like she knew, she knew the Father's voice. She knew my voice. And it was like it gave me like goosebumps in that moment. Like thinking about that moment right now, getting a little emotional because it was profound. It's kind of like, I'm a Christian, I'm a believer. If you're in Christ, you're in Jesus, right? There's something happens to you when you're going through a really rough season, and let's say just everything's going wrong for you. And there's like when you hear the Lord's voice in your life, like when you know God is talking to you, it's like the child or the sheep, right? Because they call Jesus the good shepherd. We know our shepherd's voice. And so I used to get goosebumps just thinking about it. And so when my daughter was crying, she turned her head to me, opened her eyes for the very first time, stopped crying, and she knew that it was her dad, her father. And so what a moment it was, right? And at that moment, I just melted like ice cream melts in the heat. I straight melted, and I just knew like, oh man, I am doomed. I think you already have me wrapped around your finger. And if you're a dad, you can relate. You know what I'm talking about. Uh Man, even now, she's a toddler right now, a couple years old and 3 years old. She's a toddler. She's lots of adventure, lots of excitement. And I always laugh because she's a mama's girl, but at the same time, she's beginning to be a daddy's girl now. Like there's a shift happening. And every time this was me last night. Last night, me and my wife and I and my daughter, she was in the middle of us. We were watching Lincoln Lawyer on Netflix. And I was holding my wife's hand, right? And then all of a sudden she goes, I want to hold daddy's hand. And we hold it together. That's how she said it in that way. And so the funny thing is, she puts her hand in the middle of my hand, like to like in front of my wife's hand. I said, I want to hold mommy's hand too, not just your hand. And she goes, we can share. So for a hot minute, we're all holding hands, right? With one of my hands, or we're holding hands. And then all of a sudden, she's moving my wife's hand away. No, I want to hold daddy's hand by myself. And it's like a whole fight for affection. And I was like, honey, you can't do that. I want to hold mama's hand first. But it was a whole thing. She was kept pushing her mother's hand away. And sometimes, like, I don't know if you're a parent, especially if you're a dad, if you have daughters, girls, and you try to put them to bed at night, it's like a whole routine. And she goes, Daddy, please lay down with me for a little while, please. She pretty much she wants to go on my arm, get snuggled up, hold on to my arm, get that snuggly feel to feel safe, right? And obviously, as a dad, I fall for it every time. I said, of course, baby, I'll do that, no problem. And yeah, it's just precious moments as a father, right? But man, she does take advantage of me hard. There's some times where I draw the line in the sand on certain really things, but she definitely takes advantage of me. My wife, she goes, sucker. That's what she says to me from a distance. You're such a sucker. She got you. And I was like, I shake my head knowing like, yeah, she did. She got me. She got me the day she was born. I mean, she had me when I knew she was in your belly. But life changing moment because I'm a lot more gentler. I watch how I speak, even to my other sons. Like I even changed the way I talk to them in such a way, right? And so it had definitely positive effects being a girl dad, right? It just brings out the gentler side of me, but on this simultaneously, it brings out a side of me that was a protector side. I've always been protective of my family. Like a man's job. If you're leading your house, you better protect your family. Like your wife better feel safe knowing that my husband got this, right? We're gonna be safe. God forbid North Korea comes stomping on the door trying to take over our house. That's an extreme situation, but you want to be safe, right? You want to have that safe environment that you create for your family, for your wife, and for your children. Doing that just made me more ferocious. And if you're a dad, you know what I'm talking about. More protective, more ferocious. I understand my daughter's gonna grow up one day, but it's about how she's raised, like how I'm telling her, what does me and my wife says who she is as a person. Like that's the most important thing I could do until she gets of age where she begins to her self confidence, her self development. We have children who are teenagers, so now seeing both sides of the spectrum, we know now more than ever that we gotta speak life into our daughter. We gotta say, hey, honey, you're you're beautiful and gentle and precious and strong from the inside and out. You're an intelligent young woman, a young girl. You're intelligent and you're brave and you're adventurous, and that's okay. And a lot of times that we try our best to not like force our. There's just some people, and my wife falls in this category where you say, "Be careful." You say, "Be careful," without even like. It's just like a pre that like a preface. Like you see your kid playing outside by the tree, you scream out, "Be careful." And I'm the opposite. I'm like, "Have fun, honey." I only say be careful like if I feel like she's gonna like jump off the tree or jump in the water, right? that'd be on the time. But we have different parenting styles, different philosophies on how we talk to our kids. But there's a lot of love there, and we're united in our front when it comes to our daughter. And obviously, we're united as one, as husband and wife, right? That's where it matters first. Everything else just falls in place. But yeah, very ferocious in my protectiveness over her. I remember her older brother. He was like 10 at the time, or a 9. He was the youngest. He didn't know how to be older brother, right? And so he did something. She was like a newborn still. He did something, and man, I jumped. It was like if I did like a flash. I was in the kitchen, and next thing you know, I was in the living room, like in the flash moment, creating separation between my daughter and him. Like, hey, you don't ever do that. That is your sister, and it kind of like that was the very first day. I said, you do not want to test me. Today will be a history making moment for you. Do not ever do that to your sister. Right? Like it was just like even with that moment, right? And so I can imagine like when she has to go through her first heartbreak, I'm probably gonna say a lot of things I want to do to the guy who's gonna break her heart, right? Like any dad would do. But man, I would just say that she brought out the most gentle side of me, tender side of me, tenfold. Because my wife already did that, and she took it to a whole nother level. My daughter, right? But then they just brought out a whole nother ferocious side of like being a protector. Like there is nothing that there's just pretty much I would do anything to protect my family, especially my wife and my daughter. There's just many things I would protect their life without a doubt. Um, if I had to see how a young, obviously, I thank God that I give a shout out to the single dads who have like who are raising their daughters and they have no mother in the house. That is a hard job because a man is definitely going to find many challenges trying to raise a female. We're not females. We don't know nothing about the female anatomy. We know nothing of what it likes to have the menstrual cycle. We know nothing. We're men, not women. And so I am so thankful and grateful that our family, we're together. We're one unit. We're together. And I just when as I always watch from a distance how my wife raises my daughter and with love and how she's teaching her how to be a girl and the way they talk and the way they communicate and their bond. It is like one of the most beautiful things. Like I admire it almost on a daily basis from a distance, an admiration for it. And I was like I feel my heart's filled with gratitude, thanking God that, like, wow, my daughter has such a wonderful mother who loves her deeply and wants her to be raised up into a better woman than she was, right? And she does it with everything that she knows how to, and then some. It's a beautiful thing. I love my wife, and I'm definitely I admire her. I admire her how she's raising our daughter. It's a beautiful thing, and it just makes me love my wife even more. Like it's just the bond between us grows deeper because how strong her bond is with our daughter. It's just a beautiful thing. And I think I said this last episode, man. If you have God first in your life, and you're married to your husband or your wife, depending on your gender, right? And your partner, your spouse, and you guys are one. Your God is number one. You and your wife are one, and then your children. It's like a perfect synergy of flow of love and wellness in the family. It's good for your mental health. It's good for the environment. It's good for your environment, your climate, your home. I mean, you're generally, if you do this every day consistently, little bit at a time, when you do stuff in small phases, they build up through time, right? And you're going to create positive experiences for your children. They're going to grow up saying, man, I had a great childhood. Yeah, my parents, no parent is perfect, but man, they loved each other. They loved God. They loved each other, and they loved us. And they taught us. They spent time with us. Um, yeah, so I'm definitely grateful for how she's raising our daughter. It's a beautiful thing. And long term, I would say my hopes is the funny thing is my my wife and daughter, and I have to give a big shout out to my mother-in-law. My suegra is gold because um we're blessed to have her watch our daughter while we're working, during the daytime. And so it's a beautiful thing. And she is loves on her. She loves on her and takes care of her. My daughter has a very strong relationship with her grandmother and obviously her mother. Very strong relationship. And as a young girl, as she grows into a woman, it's just like that's the kind of woman, that's the kind of a young woman you want, in life as they grow up with positive woman figures in her life that's just being positive in love, positive in morality in integrity, morality, raising up other young women, and that's what it's about. And so I'm always grateful for my mother-in-law and for my wife. My hope is that because my daughter is so adventurous, she has a lot of the adventure side from me, and like the dare to do something out there, right? She's very brave, and my hope is that as their relationship grows deeper, for my wife and daughter, that they learn from each other. I'm learning from all of them every day. That they learn from each other. That my wife learns that yeah, I could be a little more daring and brave, just like my daughter. And my daughter on the other side can learn so much from the wisdom of my wife, and the patience and long suffering. Gentleness goes a long way. You don't have to be brute force strength. I always tell my baby girl, I say, honey, you have to learn balance. There is no man that's going to want a woman who has too much masculine energy. You have to learn how to be balanced. Be yourself, but be balanced. Both male and females have the ability to give like that, masculine energy or the feminine energy. And if you're a guy giving feminine energy, I mean, I don't know if you should be doing that, but maybe the equivalent of that is like when you're being gentle with your wife, you're being gentle with your daughter, understanding, caring, even though you don't understand nothing how they're made or what they're thinking about, what they're going through. If the Bible says if we're understanding of our partners, of our wives, that will create long-term long-term success in your relationship. And so this, I would say, being a girl dad changed my life dramatically in such a positive way. And if you're a dad out there and you have a daughter and it has not changed your life that way because you're still stuck in, let's say you're stuck in destructive habits, right? That is ruling your life, like you're a slave to your habits, the bad ones. You know what I'm talking about. You know, just think about the kind of man you want your daughter to one day marry, right? When she grows up to be a woman. You want her to pick a man that's going to protect her, keep her safe, that's going to love her and be gentle and kind towards her and understanding. Like if you're not doing that with your daughter, a man, a father to a father, a man to a man, bro, get your life right now because she's looking at you. And if you're going to continue going down that path of behaving like a loser, behaving destructively, seeds produce after their own kind. She's going to look for men who are being destructive in their behavior. No girl deserves that. No woman deserves that. Anyway, that's today's show. Being a girl dad changed my life for the positive. Again, please go to my YouTube channel, press that like, subscribe, comment button. You know, if you're a mom or dad with recommendations, please tell me. I am not a perfect parent, and I want to know how to be better every single time. Subscribe and like is on my YouTube channel. Also, find us on Apple and Spotify. Press that follow button. Do never miss an episode. Also, um, we have a cool Etsy shop where we have some a hoodie swag, a t-shirt swag. We got this humility hat right here with from Proverbs 22. If you want some swag that helps us fund this channel by, supporting it through, you know, apparel, things like that. Also, I'm a property management owner. I'm the partner and broker of that company. So if you're in South Florida and you're looking for full service property management for real estate, we do leasing, maintenance coordination, tenant relations. We handle the leasing payments, the whole nine. We maximize the value for all of our owners. I have our information down below. You can check out our website. My email's there. If that's you, please reach out to me. And again, have a great day, guys, and God bless you.